per dollar. So all these are our foundation today. They're all the foundations of the demand curve. And if we didn't miss a class, then I would be showing you how to do the deriving of the demand curve. But since we missed a class last week, that's the part that I'm giving up on the course. But I'm going to kind of go through without doing the whole story. So here's your quantity, here's your total utility, marginal utility, and then quantity, total utility, and marginal utility. So now, what I'm doing, I'm starting off and I'm doing indifference curves, right? And just giving you some information. It's all on the web page or on my notes. So if you copy those, then in good shape. And total utility, do it. 10. All right, so the first thing is that we have these two goods. In this case, I'm going to make the goods be donuts and milk. All right, and so we have these two goods, and we're going to put them on the same graph. So that's different than a demand curve. In a demand curve, you have one good, you have the price of the good, and then you have the quantity of the good. Here, we're going to have two different goods, and we're just looking at quantities. That's all we're doing, quantities, and we're going to put this whole thing together. So we're going to put let's start by looking at the story, right? The story here is that we're looking at this consumer, and this consumer gets this utility, happiness, out of having a donut. So you get one donut, and you get 10 units of utility. Your second donut brings you 18 units of utility. So you have two donuts, you're at 18, 3 at 24, and 4 at 28, and 5 at 30. So this person here is increasing their utility with every donut that they eat. They're getting happier and happier and happier, okay, up to 5. And I'm sure if it was most of you guys, you probably would think, where would yours turn back? After how many would you turn back? 3. Okay. So for some of you guys, you can maximize here, and then after your fourth one, you may be going down with utility. All right, so you'd stop. All right, but some people I've seen eat like a dozen Krispy Kremes. So I'm
Zero for utility, that's supposed to be dash.
yeah, it doesn't matter. You get 0 or dash. It doesn't. I saw 0 here. Okay, you're just not getting any because you're not eating anything. So it doesn't matter. But in this case, all right, now this other person's good that they're consuming is milk, and the milk they get 12 units of utility out of the first glass of milk, and then 18, and then 20, et cetera, and then in this type of analysis, so everything's going up. So I don't go to the point where they actually go negative, but you could get negative utility. But why would you buy it or consume it if it was bringing you negative utility? So it would just be just for the purposes of showing what utility does to put a negative up here. In other words, a 22 or something. I eat that 6th donut and I've got such a stomach ache, I feel awful. That type of thing. So we're not going to buy it, so we're not going to put it up there. Marginal utility is just your change in utility over your change in quantity. So it's the difference between here and here. It's the difference of your next consumption. It's the next thing that you consume will bring you, in this one, going from 0 to 1 brings you 10 units of utility. Going from 1 donut to 2 donuts. In other words, the marginal utility of your second donut would be what? 8. Right? That's the marginal utility of second donut. It goes down, right? You can't eat the first donut twice. So you eat the first donut, and then you can't go back and have that donut again. All right? It's one. You can do that with hot dogs, right? Joke. Anyway. All right. So, but going down here, that would be 6. right? So the next one you get 6, the next one you get 4, the next one you get 2. So it's just your change in utility is decreasing, and that's called the law of diminishing marginal utility, which we talked about last time as well. So what would this column be here? 12, 6, 2, 1. Excellent. All right. So now, so we've got that down. That's from last class. That's basically a review with just 2 goods instead of 1. Now we're moving on to indifference curve. And what an indifference curve is it's a graph or a picture that shows the different combinations of goods that will bring you the same utility. So in this case here, we have a couple different goods here that can bring us a certain level of utility. So for instance, if we had 3 donuts, that would bring us a total utility of 24. So 3 donuts and 1 milk. So 3 donuts would bring you 24. 1 milk would bring us 12. So that would be a total utility if I had that combination. If I bought 3 donuts and 1 milk, right? 3 donuts, 24, 1 milk, 12. Then I have a total utility from that consumption, that basket of 36. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to plot that. So we'll put donuts up here and milk here. And we're going to go combination. It'll be 1, 2, 3 donuts and 1 milk. So I'm just plotting this combination of these goods. 3 donuts and 1 milk. And how I got it is I'm just trying to come up with, you'll do the same thing I'm doing in a second. So here's where I came up with a 36, all right? So I got this and this combined. So I go to this point here, and that brings me 36 units of utility. Now, is there another combination that would give you 36 units of utility? 2 donuts and 2 milks. Awesome. So 2 donuts and 2 milks will also give us 36 units of utility. So let's go over here. And that would be my point. So all I'm doing is I'm plotting 2 and 2. Right, and that's my 2 points. So the shape of an indifference curve is it's not a straight line. It's shaped like this. Okay, so that's why I'm going to draw it like that. It kind of goes like this. It'll hit those 2 points, but it'll kind of go out like that. And this is called an indifference curve. I'll call that I equals 36. Because here my utility level is 36 along any point on this indifference curve. So is a person going to be happier having 3 donuts and 1 milk, or 2 donuts and 2 milks? Which one's going to make them happier? It doesn't matter. Right? So for this person, it doesn't matter. Maybe for you, it matters. Maybe you'd be like, why would we want that 3rd donut? But for this person, it doesn't matter. They're indifferent. They don't care. And the same thing would be true at any other point here. Let's say we were up here and we had, 4 donuts, I'm just making it up, and a half a glass of milk, then that person would be just as happy here. Or maybe it would be 3 glasses of milk and 1.5 donuts. But any point along this line, that person is indifferent. They don't care. So what do you think is going to determine if the person buys 3 donuts and 1 milk, or 2 donuts and 2 milks? What do you think is going to make the difference of which one that person buys? If they both make you equally happy, what are you going to buy?
Like this.
You got a choice to buy shirt A and shirt B. They both make you like them both a lot. What's going to make your decision of what to buy? Price. Okay, so that has to come into play here is the price of it. And so what you're going to end up doing is buying the combination that costs the less, given the fact that the utility is the same. And I know that sounds like some foreign language, right? I'm going to buy the combination that costs the less, given my fact that my utility is the same. I mean, you don't talk like that in public. It you know, if people would look at you like, oh, what's wrong with you? But that's what you do, right? And that's where we're gonna hit next with these two things. But that's what we're doing here. You're making your decisions. First, you determine your utility, your happiness, and then the next thing you're gonna do is gonna look at the price. But before we do that, let's see if you can go come up with another combination of, let's say the number is 48. Okay, I'm just making that up because I know it works. Let's say, can you come up with a couple combinations of goods that brings you a utility of 48?
4 donuts and 3 milk.
What is it?
4 donuts and 3 milk.
4 donuts would be 28, and 3 milks, that would give you 48. Okay, so 4 donuts and 3 milks equals 48. All right, any others? Any others that you can think of here?
5 donuts.
Or you can see. What's it?
5 donuts, 2 milk.
5 donuts would be 30, and 2 milks would be 18. So that would work. So 5 donuts and 2 milks would also give you 48. So let's put those together, right? Because you have to have 2 combinations in order to have the line, right? You have to have 2 points. So we're like 4 donuts would be up here, so we're good with that, and 3 milks would go all the way over here. So 4 and 3 would be like this. And then the other combination would be 5 donuts, which would be like way up here. And how many milks? 2 milks, which would be there, like this. So we would have another indifference curve that goes like this. And along this, my I would equal how much? 48. So my utility along that one is 48. So what would be the difference of going from this indifference curve and having this level of happiness or this level of happiness? Well, I'm happier up here because I have more utility. So why wouldn't I just be up here? Why wouldn't I just go right up there? What's going to stop me from going there?
More expensive.
Price. It costs more money to buy 4 and 3 than it does to buy 2 and 2. So what's stopping me from getting more and more utility is the fact that I'm constrained by my income. I don't have the income to maximizing my utility. Trust me, there's not a person in here, I don't think, who hasn't had that if I only won the lottery thought. Right? I mean, if I only won the lottery, it's, you wake up in the morning, your car doesn't start, if I only won the lottery, right? You look, your roommate drives you crazy, and you go, if I only won the lottery, right? That doesn't mean you're going to try to, like, knock them off or something. I mean, just, like, move and find another place, right? So, if you look in your closet, if I only won the lottery. And what's stopping you from getting that extra utility is that income. So now what we're going to look at is this concept of a budget constraint. So even though they're completely different perspectives, they do go together. So in our case, let's just throw it out there and say, let's say that the cost of a donut, we're going to put a price of a donut, and the price of, say, a price of a donut is equal to, let's say, $1. And the price of milk would be, say, how much is that? $1.25 or something. Okay, and you have $5 to spend. So this I will be your income. So that's all the information that you need to have a budget constraint. You have the price of the 2 goods that we're looking at, which in this case are going to be donuts are costing $1, milk is costing $1.25, and income is $5. So given that information, we can determine, first of all, our budget constraint, and then we can actually figure out what we're going to buy with our money. Okay, so let's take a look at what a budget constraint is. A budget constraint is the same. We have the same graph that we had here. We're going to put donuts on this axis and milk at this axis. Now, to get a point on this line here, the budget constraint means how much, or measures how much you could buy. Like, how much do you have the income? How many donuts could you buy given the income that you have? What would be the answer to that question? What's the answer? 5. How'd you get that? At $5, right? You have $5, you walk into a store, you have $5, donuts are $1 each, how many can you buy? 5. Okay, so you take this point here on the budget constraint is just going to be your income divided by the price of the donuts. So the income is $5 divided by the price of the donuts, which is 1. So if you spend all of your money on donuts, you could purchase 5 of them. Right? So that's starting point number 2. 1. Okay, number 2. It's going to be somewhere down here. Okay, if you spend all of your money on milk, how many milks could you buy? 4. So that would be 5 divided by $1.25. So income divided by the price. So the 5 comes from the 5 over 1, right? The income, and the 4 comes from here. So we have 5 and 4, and that's it. That's all you need to draw a budget constraint. So we take those 2 points, here and here, and we draw a line, a straight line between them, and that is called a budget constraint. Well, let's just kind of let me ask this question. If that's the case, all right, if this is your income, could you buy this bundle right here? Could you buy the 4 donuts and the 3 milks and get 848 units of utility out? Why not? You don't have the money. And so you couldn't afford out here. So if we went to 4 donuts and 3 milks would be somewhere like out here. And you can't afford any point out here. You can't afford any of that. The only thing you can afford is a point on the line or a point inside the line. You can get anything in here you could afford, but any other combination out here you cannot afford. So how about 2 donuts and 2 milks? Could you afford that? 2 donuts would be $2, and 2 milks would be another $2.50. So if you were to buy 2 donuts and 2 milks, it would cost $4.50. So you could afford that. Could you afford 3 donuts and 1 milk? Okay, so given these 2, what would you buy? They bring you the same amount of utility. Would you buy the 2 and the 2 or the 3 and the 1? 3 and the 1. Because it gives you the same utility, but it costs less. Yes?
How do you know how much you can or cannot afford? Like, how do you know?
Because the income, your income is only $5.
Oh, okay.
So that has to be given to you. Right? And the question I have to say, here's your income, and I do that in these questions here too. So I'll pass these around. Okay, but so the point is that we're looking at how much money we have, that's our income, and we're looking at the prices of the goods. And if you think about it, what we're trying to figure out is how much we're going to demand given the money and the prices. So let's kind of take a step back and say, well, what's the point of all this? What does this have to do with anything we've done all semester? I mean, here's the answer, all right? We're trying to figure out the Q. The quantity is like how many we're going to buy. That's the quantity. We're given the information here of the price, right? So there's your price of that good, X. So we're also given the income, right? The income is right there. Because that has to be in here. We're also given, if you think about it, we're given the price of a related good, right? Because we're given 2 different good prices here, so that's our PY. Okay, and you know what else we're given? We're given our taste and preferences, because our utility is just another way of saying how much we like things, and that represents our taste and preferences, so we have taste and preferences in here. isn't this the same equation that we worked on before? We worked on the same equation for elasticity. We worked on the same equation when we talked about, what are the factors that impact demand? We call them shift factors. So this is your demand. This was your, your changes in your quantity demanded. Here's your shifts in the demand curve. So all of this here provides this foundation for this year. Right? And it's all we're going to end up with. What are we going to buy with our money? Okay, and that's how it will work here. Yes.
What's that equation for? Marginal utility?
This one here.
Uh-huh.
This is the equation we've been working on for the demand. This Q is the demand. So this is the same equation we worked on for 2 weeks with elasticity. For a week before that with shifts in the demand curve. This is our foundation. This is everything that affects the demand curve. This is all these factors affect the demand curve. Price over X is the price of the good we're looking at. Income is income. Price of Y is the price of related goods, and taste and preferences are good. How we view things, how much we like things. And that's the same thing as our utility. Right? So when somebody advertises, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get us to have a higher utility for that good that they're advertising. They're trying to make us really, really want it. And they don't say that, again, but that's their goal. Right? The goal of an advertiser is to make you want the product more. In other words, to bring you more happiness for consuming their product. And so if they do a good job, you're going to look at this, and if you've seen these Krispy Kreme commercials where they're hot out of the oven, you're going to go, wow, I want a Krispy Kreme. All of a sudden my utility of having a Krispy Kreme is like, I have to have it. Okay? And if you're one of those people that, gets those impulses, you'll be driving there. Okay? So, or if you don't, or probably even more likely, if you have a friend who has those impulses, you'll be driving with your friend because they always need somebody going. Right? So that's sort of like your late night runs to do things. This is what it is. It's like you get this utility, you have to have it, and then you have the money to afford it. That's the price point. Okay, so this is your budget constraints. Let me take this a step further and say, what would happen if the price of donuts went from $1 to $2? What would happen over here? Yeah, how many donuts could you buy now with the money? 2, and you have to put the half in. Okay, I know that it doesn't sound normal because you have to buy half a donut. Or you can try, but it doesn't happen. So it would be 2 and a half. And the reason I say that is because you get this on a test or something, if the answer comes out to 7.6, you got to put 7.6. And because you can't say 2, because that would give the line the wrong line. Okay, so what would happen is this. If the price of donuts went from $1 to $2, your budget constraint would shift down, but it still bows out the same place because we have not changed the price of milk. So in our example I gave you before, if the price of donuts was $2, what would happen over here? Which one of these, would you be able to afford this anymore? What would happen if the price of donuts went to, because remember before we could afford this, right? So now I'm saying the price of donuts is $2, can you afford this? Not anymore, because you're talking about $2 per donut, so that's going to cost you $4 for 2 donuts, plus $2.50, so that's like way over $6, right? That's like $6.50 now. Okay, and what about this combination? 3 donuts and 1 glass of milk, what's that going to cost you? 3 donuts, $7.25. So given the choice, if you could afford it, which one would you buy now? You'd buy this one, right? Because the price of donuts went up. So you see what happens is when the price goes up, you're going to be more likely to buy something else now. So now you look at your combinations and say, wow, I'm not so sure what I'm going to buy. Because the price have changed. So putting prices into it brings us to this third one here, and this is called, right there, marginal utility per dollar. So the marginal utility per dollar is the last like peg in this, and it's the marginal utility of the good, X, over the price of X is equal to the marginal utility per dollar. So we're trying to find out whether or not we should buy, what we should buy over here. Okay, so let's look at marginal utility per dollar given this information. Let's go back to our original prices. And let me ask this question. What would a person buy first? Would they buy the donut first, or would they buy the milk first? So let's compare them. So the question is, you're writing in your notes, okay, what should this person buy first given the money that they have and the prices that are there? And you take a look at it and say, all right, with the marginal utility per dollar for a donut versus the marginal utility per dollar for for milk. So which one would the person buy? So marginal utility per dollar. So let's look at it and figure this out, okay? So you have $5 to spend. You guys with me? We have $5 to spend, and how are we going to spend it? So we look and we go, okay, donuts are going to bring me 10 units of utility. That's my marginal utility. If I have my first donut, it's going to bring me 10 units of utility, and it's going to cost me how much? $1. So my marginal utility per dollar is 10. Pretty straightforward. Milk is going to bring me how much utility for my first glass of milk? 12. And how much is the milk costing? $1.25. So if you divide 12 by $1.25, how much does that come out to? It's like 9 point something, right? It's got to be 9 point something. That's right. Let's say 9.7, and if somebody has a calculator, you can yell out because yell out and change my answer. But we know it's less than 10. Right, so what would the person buy first? The donut. Why? Because you get more for your money when you buy the donut. You're getting more per dollar for your donut. Okay? Is everybody okay with that? Okay. All right, now what would you buy second? So let's take a look. Well, we already ate the donut, so you can't re-eat that. So now, the next thing you're going to do is say, should I buy my second donut, or should I buy my first milk? Which should you buy? The second donut would bring you 8 units of utility for $1, right? So that brings you 8. And what about the milk? What about the, what do you get for the milk? Well, see, here's the deal, guys.
9.7.
You haven't had your first glass of milk yet. Yeah, so you can't say, you can't start with your second glass of milk. Right? You have to have your first glass of milk before you can have your second glass of milk. Right? Yeah. so you can't compare this to this, you have to compare this to this. So since this would end up being marginal utility of 9.7, now you're going to say, first thing I'm going to buy is the donut, right? But then the second thing I'm going to buy is the milk. And how much money did I spend so far? $2.25. How do I know that? Because this costs $1 and this costs $1.25. And then you keep going and going and going until you figure out, what you're going to spend all your money on. Or until you run out of money, basically. So what would you buy next? Okay, how do you know?
Because you want to start back over again.
Okay, so it's marginal utility of milk divided by the price of milk. So you have the second donut, which brings you 8, or the milk that costs you, what's the 6 for the second one? Is marginal utility 6. Okay, so 6 over 125. So we know in this case that that's going to be like 5-ish or something.
4.8.
What is it?
4.8.
4.8. So you're going to buy this because this brings you more utility per dollar than that. Okay? How are we doing? Is it making sense to you yet?
Wait, was that
Yes.
seconded?
I thought we were starting with the first one.
But this is, so we bought this first, this second, now I'm saying what do we buy next? Third.
Okay.
So the third thing we're gonna buy, since it has the most utility per dollar, is this. All right, do we still have any money left to buy something else?
Oh, wait. I thought we were supposed to start with one for the meal.
We did. So we drank it. Okay, so we just bought that.
Alright.
So we did start with the first milk. And we drank that first milk, so we can't drink that again. So now we're on to the second. Okay, it's you know, you're in a situation where you're buying, you're buying products. You guys go to places, you could buy one, you could go to Wings, you could buy 6 wings or 12 wings or whatever, 8 wings. You go to you buy 5 chicken strips or 10 chicken strips or 2 chicken strips or whatever, so it's sort of the same thing, right? How much utility do you get out of the next one? And versus how much does it cost you for that next one? I mean, I'm sure you guys, I live right near Zaxby's, so it seems like I'm there all the time. And it's very often where I go there, and they have options. Do you buy 3 strips and fries, or you buy 5 strips and fries, or you buy 2 strips and fries, you get a kid's meal. And almost all the time, I'm somewhere in the middle. I never buy the top one. Why not? Why don't I buy the 5 strips? I don't get any extra utility out of those leftover ones. Because and so we do this. I look at the price is like $2 more, and I go, it's not worth it for me to buy the extra one because I'm not going to get any utility out of it. So it's not a concept that we don't ever take advantage of, right? We do it every day. When you go to buy milk, I bet if you live on your own, if you buy milk, you probably might even buy a half gallon. It's strange, sometimes a half gallon doesn't even cost that much less than a gallon. But you buy the half gallons because it could spoil and ruin the rest of the milk if you don't drink a lot of milk, right? So you buy the one that's smaller, even though your marginal utility, because that works best for you because you don't get any extra utility out of the gallon. Okay, so for you, you think that if the milk, if you get 20 units of utility out of a gallon of milk, it costs $4, but you get 20 units of utility out of a half gallon of milk and it costs you $3. You see? You don't get any more utility out of this, even though you look and the price is wrong, right? If this costs 4, that should cost 2, but it doesn't, right? Then that's not how they price half gallons of milk. Then you go, okay, I'm better off with this one because that's 6.67 per unit, and this one's 5 per unit. So I'm going to buy a half gallon. And that's the type of decision that we make over and over. Okay? So what I'd like you guys to do is I'd like you to take a look at those questions that I just handed out. And are they make it all the way around class? And I also have to turn in, have to get you guys to sign in. So take a look at those and let's see if we can. Did everybody get one of those handouts? Oh, no, what is it? One more time. Oh, okay. That we're looking at his utility that he gets from this, from this trip to McDonald's. And so we look at his goods. His items are sweet tea, and for a quantity, sweet tea. So the quantity of sweet tea is 1. He gets.
So the quantity you want to be
His quantity is 1 for sweet tea. Hold on, I'm trying to get this set up right way. His total utility is going to be 20. So at 1, he gets 20. All right. So for sweet tea, quantity of 1, Jack gets 20 units of utility. His second sweet tea number 2, brings him 32 units of utility. So right now, you can see that that's very similar to what we were doing before. You can assume that 0 sweet teas are going to bring him 0 utility. The next one, the next item on Jack's list here is Big Macs. So he looks at Big Macs, and he's got a quantity of Big Macs of 1 and 2 also, and a total utility of Big Macs. And then the third one is going to be the chicken sandwiches. All right, so for Big Macs, he says he gets 50 units of utility for when he purchases a Big Mac. 50 units of utility. This guy likes Big Macs, right? And then it's and then his second Big Mac brings him 60 units of utility. So he likes them, but he doesn't like the second one as much as he likes the first one. And the price here for sweet tea is $1. Everybody knows that. And the price for the Big Mac in this case is $2. And then the third one is the chicken sandwich. So he gets same thing here, same structure. So he gets for 1 he gets 35, and then for 2 he gets what is it? What is it? Okay, Big Mac here is good. Okay.
35 and 2 and 51.
Okay. Oh, there it is, 51. Okay, thank you. 51. So we're good. So that's all the information we need. We need the cost of the chicken sandwiches, and then we should actually be able to answer all these questions. So you guys take a look at the first one, right? What is Jack's marginal utility of the second sweet tea? So we can look up here, and we can put it in different columns for all of these, in the marginal utility column, and just, it's pretty straightforward, right? He goes from his first sweet tea brings him 20 units of utility, so his marginal utility would be how much? 20. And how about his second one? 12. Okay? Got it? Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so take a couple minutes, let's look at these, and I'll read through them, and then I'll give you like 5 minutes to kind of work on them, and then I'll go back to the next topic, okay? So the second question is to Jack's marginal utility of his first Big Mac, you should be able to get that. The third one, what's the marginal utility per dollar for his chicken sandwich, you should be able to get that. The fourth one is, what should Jack purchase given his income, and how much money does he have? Thank you. How much income does he have total? Should I say it up there? Okay, so he has $2, yeah, probably has $2 to spend. Okay, so it's going to be quick. At least we'll be getting rid of his income's only $2. So given that, we're going to try to figure out what he should spend his money on. What should Jack spend his money on to get to maximize his utility? All right, that's the goal here. Okay, so take a minute or two, and if you need to work with somebody, that's fine with me. And you know, we're good for, like I said, I'll give you a few minutes to work on this. Did everybody sign into it?
Yeah.
Brittany, back there, Sydney, Gunnar,
Did you say that you can do a half or something?
you can't purchase that, you can only put it out on the website. If you want to spend all your money, go to tape, Carolyn, Patrick, Justin, Martha, Lily, Alex, Tina, Michelle, Rachel Phillips, Adam, Dustin, Jayla, Gabrielle, Ollie, Jasmine, Elizabeth, Rachel Bird, Quentin, Tiana, thank you. All right. Then so the marginal utility because you haven't had it for Wow, all right, so how are we doing on that quiz? How are we doing on that? Anybody have, go ahead, number 5? If this is up to $1 here, then that means it's going to get the marginal utility for $1 for his first chicken sandwich. It's going to be 35.
No, I'm saying it's presented to me for hours after 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
These $2.
All right, so anybody need more time?
Yes.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Number 6, if the price of chicken sandwich is still $1, we're going to go back up to $2.
It goes back up. Use it for number 6. What should he purchase if his income is 3? Just you're using the original data. So we're using original prices for number 6, and for number 11, using original prices as well. Okay. So number 6 and 11 use the original prices. Think we're good?
All right. So you said for 6 we have to use the original price?
Use the original price. So you got to start all over again.
Yes.
Just for that one question now.
Yeah.
So you're using the original price, what would happen if they had 3 on it? Okay, you guys ready? All right, I'll let you finish that while I'm gonna move to the next thing. Let's do, I just want to go over that quiz before we go to, like, make sure that you guys understand that stuff. So, put the quiz up on the board. I don't have any answers, but, no. All right, this is the quiz, and I just want to kind of run through this before we get too far with elasticity. So the first question on the quiz, if the price elasticity is equal to negative 1.8, then the good would be considered what? Anyone? Elastic, right? Because if you just look at our chart, and elasticity will be anything below negative 1 would be elastic. Number 2, cross price elasticity is a positive number, it's going to be a substitute. Number 3, income elasticity between 0 and 1 is going to be a necessity. These are all on my webpage notes, the elasticity notes. You can go find them. Let's do number 4, if prices decrease in the elastic portion of the demand curve, total revenue will increase. So that's number 4 is increase, because they're price sensitive. Number 5, if prices increase in the inelastic portion, then revenue stays the same. So that's C. Number 6, given the information above, what 2 factors changed? So the number of Dell computers changed, that would be D, and then income changed, and that would be E. Right, so you have income changing and Q changing, so that's your, so that would be the information that you need to do income elasticity. So the answer number 7 is income elasticity. Number 8 is actually to do the work on income elasticity. It comes out to be 0.42. 0.42. So if you don't have those numbers, I'll run over them for you. It's 3,000 divided by 53,500 times 750 over 100. Okay, so it's 3,000 over 53,500 times 750 over 100, and that comes out to be 0.42. That would be, since it's a 0.42, that means it would come out to be a necessity good. That's number 9. Number 10, holding everything else constant over shorter periods of time, goods tend to be more inelastic because you need more time to make your adjustments. That's number 10. Number 11, we have the same thing, lots of things changing here. So what's changing in this one is the number of Dell computers and the price of Hewlett Packard computers. So we have the price of Hewlett Packard, that's B, and the number of Dells, that's D. Number 12, given the information, which elasticity would you calculate? Well, that would be 2 different goods, so it's cost price elasticity. So number 12, number 13, you solve it, it comes out to be 0.29. Number 14, if it's a positive number, cross price elasticity, the answer is substitutes. Number 15, if prices increase, if the price elasticity is negative 0.8, that means it's inelastic. So we're in the inelastic portion of the demand curve. So you can basically say if we're in the inelastic portion of the demand curve, what should the company do to raise their revenue? The answer is to raise their prices or increase the prices. That would be A. Number 16, generally speaking, the lower the percentage of your income to the good cost, the more elastic the product. That's false. Right? The lower the percentage means it's going to be it's going to take. You don't really care as much because it's a small percentage of your income, so it's a little less price sensitive, holding everything else constant. Number 17 is elastic, and so what happens is when the price goes down, the total revenue goes up, so that causes it to be elastic. Number 18, there's a decrease in total revenue by 1,800. 1,800. Number 19, the profit would be 6,600. Stop me if I have any questions. I'll be glad to go over these. Number 20, profit there would be 6,000. Okay, because profit is just your total revenue minus your total cost. That's all it is. So you have profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Total revenue is price times quantity, which are both given to you in those questions. And total cost is average cost times quantity, which is average cost is given to you too. So for instance, in the first question, the answer you had, the total revenue was 60, and this was, or 60 times 220, that was it. And then, let me make sure. Yeah, when the price is 60, then there's 220 for revenue, and then the total average cost was 30, and again, the Q's the same as there. So when you solve for that, you come out to have 6,600. Okay, the next one was 6,000. The number 20, number 21, they should obviously charge 60 because they make more of a profit. Number 22 is B, because it's a change in demand, not a change in the quantity demanded. Number 23 is B. Number 24, it's a shift of the demand curve. Number 25 is B, and that's where we're at. Okay? So, just wanted to make sure you guys have the answers for those questions, so if you need them, you got them. So, any questions about the questions?
Number 23, how did you use
23. What you do on 23 is you take the on number 23, you'll take the revenue, the total revenue, and see that it goes from here, 3 times 21 would be 63. 4 times 18 would be 72. No, yeah, 72. So it goes. So if you raise your price from 3 to 4, your revenue goes up and your costs are going to go down because you know costs are going down because you're producing less units. And the same thing would happen if you went from 4 to 5. Your revenue goes from 72 to 75. So your revenue goes up and your costs go down. Going from 5 to 6, we don't know because revenue goes down and cost goes down. We don't know which one goes down by how much. So you just leave it at 5. That's the lowest price they would charge would be 5. We don't know about 6 because we don't have enough information to determine if it'd be 6. But we do know that they should definitely not charge 4 or 3. They'd be better off charging 5. Other questions? Yes. 16. Oh, 16. Yeah. If you're buying, let's say you go out and you're going to buy, milk or pencil or something, you're probably not going to like shop around from store to store. But if you're buying a car or a house, you probably shop around. So it's basically which one's a bigger percentage of your income. The bigger the percentage of your income, the more likely you're going to shop around, the more elastic your income is going to be. Okay. What else? Other questions? Yes.
Explain how tax payment preferences affect his consumption decision.
Isn't that part of the quiz thing? That's not part of it. What? I think that's kind of, it's kind of what I talked about over here, where I said, right? Yeah, it's utility, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's the taste and preferences coming through utility. It's the whole thing is that when you put all of this stuff together, you end up all of this stuff that we did: the prices, the income, the the price of related goods, the taste and preferences, the utility, you end up with a demand curve. That's the bottom line, is all this stuff leads up to a demand curve. So this is where the demand curve comes from. It's derived from how much happiness people get from buying these products, and then how much they'll buy at the prices that are already out there. So, obviously, I can get a lot of happiness of buying something, but if I can't afford it, in other words, if the price is too high, I'm not going to buy it. Right? My demand will, my quantity demand is going to be affected. Okay, so should I collect those? Yeah. I already collect those, but I just want to do one. I have to do one more little thing. And it won't take long, I promise. But I do need to just tell you the difference between cost and cost.
So every point we get right.
You get, every point you get right on this, you get a
So we
quiz
get
point.
11 points right, we get 11 points back on the kid. Oh, shoot, turn on the, yeah. we
That's
need
like the,
two more
yeah, I
points.
can handle that. That's
We need two more points.
That's the handle that much.
No, he said, right.
Okay, so pass those up, and if you want me to grade them, pass them up, and if you want to just keep them for yourself and not get any points, that's what Alright, so real quickly, like I said, I just want to introduce this to you. This is right off the web page, so I don't know why it's not coming up, but I'm going to introduce the cost to you. I think I'm wrong. Right, but it doesn't matter. I guess I have some here. There it is. I don't know what that means, but I hit OK. There we go. All right. So just because so I'm shifting this, and I'm starting, now next class I'm going to talk about costs. And costs are typically pretty dry. So what I want to do is get some of the little bit of the dry stuff out of the way today for the next 5 minutes, and at least I don't have to start with this next time. And then next time we're going to bring in your like calculators. You don't need something real fancy. It's just adding, dividing, and multiplying. But the cost component in economics is different than cost in accounting. So I just wanted to explain that to you. Like I said, it'll only take me a couple minutes. When we're looking at cost, like from an accounting standpoint, you'd say, what if this person, let's say you, get a degree in accounting and you decide you want to start your own business next year. And your first year, you look at your numbers and you go, okay, my total revenue, which would be your sales, was $100,000. And then you look at all your expenses, and they're all piled up, and your total expenses were $43,000. In this case, you just subtract the two, and you end up with $57,000, and this would be considered to be your accounting profit. Okay, now what the difference between economic profit and accounting profit is when you're looking at accounting profit, you say, all right, well, I'm making this money now, like, it's tax season, so you're okay, I gotta pay taxes on this amount. So that's the starting point, right? And that's what we're comfortable with. But economics is gonna look at this a little bit deeper. And an economist would say, well, all right, so you started your own business, but what could you have been doing? What if you worked for somebody else? How much money could you have made then? Because you're making $57,000, but that may or may not mean that you made the right decision by opening a business. Okay, I had a business one time that my store, where I think my last year of my store I might have made like $20,000, but I actually shut down because it wasn't worth it. And I think that's what you have to do here. That's what the economist is going to look at. Is it worth it? What are you giving up to get that money? That's called an opportunity cost. So you have to put in an opportunity cost here. And the opportunity cost is what you're giving up. So if you're regularly, like a starting salary for an accountant might be $50,000. So we'll say the starting salary for an accountant is $50,000. That's what you're giving up. If you went and worked for somebody else, you'd be making $50,000. So what you're really making here, from an economic standpoint, is an economic profit of $7,000. That's how the economists would look at it. You're making $7,000. So this here is called your normal profit. That's what you should be making. This is called your accounting profit, your normal profit, and your economic profit. And so you have all the information to determine what you should do. As long as your economic profit is greater than 0, so your economic profit is greater than 0, then you're good. You'll stay in business. Right? This is a good move for you because you're making $7,000 more than you would have for somebody else, working for somebody else. Okay, we can go one step further now. What if you were a mid-level accountant? And mid-level accountants make about, right now, maybe $68,000 is about the average. For a mid-level accountant, that's your average accountant. If you look at all the data, that's about what it is. So if you're a mid-level accountant, then and look at these numbers now, and then what happens here? You're making a negative $11,000. So by starting your own business, you're giving up $11,000. So what should you do in that case? Well, your economic profit is definitely less than 0. So you should basically drop out of the industry. Because you're losing money. You're not losing money, but you're losing money. Right? You're losing the opportunity to make more money. And so we're having this opportunity cost that you have to consider. So whenever you look at businesses entering into an industry and dropping out of an industry, they're going to do it based on their economic profit, not their accounting profit. You can make money and still lose. If you come out of the school and you are offered a job in sales making $25,000, and you come out of the College of Business here, should you take that job? The answer would be, what are you giving up, right? If you're giving up nothing and you have no other options, if it's your first option and you have been offered it day one, then you probably should hold off, right? But if you've been struggling and looking for 6 months or something, you go, well, now I'm not giving up as much. But you see what I'm saying? The opportunities come into play here. What are you giving up needs to come into play. Okay, I'll take this a lot further next time. And if your quizzes, have a great day. Enjoy your snow.